And today we'll peer through the lens of Tantra, right? So the yoga tradition is not homogeneous. It's not like there was a one yoga guy or gal who put their foot down and said, well, this is the authoritative thing, and we should all be doing triangle pose, and we should all be doing downward dog. And by the way, there's a little bit of breathing and meditation out there that you might want to dabble around with, and that's the blueprint, people, right? That's not at all how it happened. It's evolved over the course of millennium, thousands and thousands and thousands of years, and different people in different climates and in different cultures, and under various invasions and whatnot, had to like adapt and move and modify the same way we all do over vast expanses of land, this whole entire subcontinent, and uh, um, and in that span, come up with different yogic methodologies, things that point us towards something like an ultimate reality, based on the context of the time and so forth. So there's not just like a one yoga here. And somewhere in the great odyssey of yoga's history, there was a group of folks that got together. I'm just a little tongue in cheek, but it happened. Um, Made a deliberate move away from the monastic flavor of yoga that was really, popular for many centuries, if not millennium, prior to when the tantric showed up on the scene. Right, this happened about 800 to 1200 was like the golden age of tantra, and a few things happened. They made the assertion that all of life is sacred. And that sounds like lovely and wonderful. All of life is sacred. And to regard it as such, to approach all of life experience as a sacred manifestation. If we're looking for the ultimate reality, we have no further to look than the tip of our nose or the next breath or life experience itself. All of that is imbued with the divine, with the sacred, with the ultimate, right? And so the life process is not something to be overcome or to be repressed or to be shunned or to be denied or to be uh, dampened down, but rather something to live into and explore, to be held in this kind of holy context. Right? And one way that this is portrayed or taught is through this dynamic and at times very still relationship between Shiva and Shakti, between the principle of awareness. That's what Shiva is, the very embodiment of something of a hermit. He's like a recluse. He lives in this very remote mountain. He wears, a tiger skin and yoga beads, and his anointed Nash, and is a very ascetic figure, right? He's on one end of the spectrum, but he's married, right? And his wife or consort is Shakti, who is the animating principle. So on one hand, you have this principle of still monastic kind of meditative awareness, and then they couple or unite or join, and then she brings that principle of awareness into form. It unfolds in the form of a myriad life experiences, both things that we deem to be pleasurable and things to be unpleasurable as well are part of her invoking power. Right? It's very similar to Purush and Prakriti, but like with a personified twist to it, like that. And their relationship and the teachings and so forth are, there's thousands of books on Tantra, thousands, right? very dynamic. And one of them of note is this Vijnana Bhairava Tantra. Okay. And Shiva's giving these kind of discourse and poverty, and they're asking these questions and they're going back and forth. And he's painting the tantric vision, which is filled with things like art and filled with things like poetry and filled with things like metaphor and filled with things like practice. Like practice. If you listen closely to what I'm about to share, you'll see there's actual methods in here too. Like try this on, try this on. And they're so kind of quaint with this little subtlety to them. You might even miss it. You might be like, oh, that's a thing, right? Oh, I'm already doing that one, right? Like, be happy, right? So I'll share just a few passages and let it speak in its own language here. This is Shiva speaking. People's opinions, purity, impurity, these are just thoughts. The real purification is awakening to pure awareness. Live in the freedom beyond opposites, and happiness will be yours. The reality of the divine is everywhere apparent, especially among people who haven't even thought about it. The reality of the divine is everywhere apparent, especially among people who haven't even thought about it. Right? Leave your holier than thou at the door, right? The very nature of I consciousness, right? Ego, ahamkara, we've been talking a lot about that. To be an individual is in essence divine. Oh, read that. Is in essence, is not the enemy. You are not the enemy. Know this and be without superiority, inferiority, or resentment at your limitations. This is a practice. This is a practice. The very nature of I consciousness, to be an individual, is in essence divine. You. He's talking about you. Know this and be without superiority, inferiority, or resent your limitations. Experience that everything is made of divine energy. Friends, enemy, honor, dishonor. This is equanimity. Be perpetually happy. And he goes on from there, right? This is one of roughly, a few hundred verses. Right? It's an enchanted read, and it's really refreshing. If you get kind of hung up on some of the monastic aspects of yoga, or it seems a little like world not liking, something like this can add a little texture and color to what, your relationship to the divine or ultimate. It's not separate from your particular life experience, right? And there's lots of ways of cultivating a connection to the sacred or the holy, um, through our view and through our exchange and our level of just something like acceptance as a practice will draw us closer to the sacred that's available in all life experience. Okay. So how you roll all that into an asana practice? Well, my friends, that's a little bit of a challenge, and I'm going to leave that to the spirit of Shiva to kind of guide me and us in this evening. But I do know this much that there'll be a bit of chanting once again. Okay. So if we could start at the front of our mats there.